Hi, this video is looking at the AQA Econ 1 May 2016 past paper. In this video we're going to be looking at questions 6 to 10, and these are all multiple choice questions. So let's start by looking at question 6. Question 6 says, the table below shows the private and external cost for 4 products. Which product, A, B, C or D, has the market price which takes least account of negative externalities? So the second column gives us the private cost per unit of output, and the third column gives us the external cost per unit of output, and this is the negative externality. If the market price was fully taking into account the private cost and the external cost, which is the negative externality, then the market price would be the sum of these two costs. So if we look at A, the private cost is £10 and the external cost is £2. So the market price, if it was taken into account both the private cost and the external cost, should be 12, which is 10 plus 2. And 12 is what the market price is. Therefore, the market price for A is fully taking into account the negative externality. So the method for this question is to sum the private cost per unit and the external cost per unit, and this will give you the market price if the negative externality was fully taken into account, and then we compare that with what the market price actually is. And the product that has the biggest difference between what the market price should be and what the market price actually is the answer to this question. So for A, if the negative externality was fully taken into account, the market price should be 12, and that's what it is, so there's a difference of 0. For B, the private cost is 12 and the external cost is 5, therefore the market price should be 17. However, the market price is 15, therefore there's a difference of £2. For C, we add the private cost of 16 to the external cost of 7, and this gives us a value of £23, and the market price is 22, which is a difference of £1. And finally, for D, the private cost is 22 and the external cost is 8, therefore the market price should be 30. However, for D, the market price is 24, and this is a difference of £6. Therefore, the product that least takes into account the negative externality is D. And this is because D has the biggest difference between what the price should be if the negative externality was fully priced in and what the market price actually is. This brings us on to question 7. Question 7 says, which one of the following provides a reason why government should intervene in a market economy? Option A is that small firms are less efficient than large firms due to economies of scale. This statement is true, but it isn't a reason why a government would want to intervene in a market economy. The next one is the existence of free riders will result in the overproduction of public goods, and this is just wrong. Public goods, because of the free rider problem, will not exist in a market economy. Option C is that the social benefit of some private goods exceeds the private benefit. And if this was the case, we would be at an equilibrium where consumption of this good is less than the socially optimal level. And an example of this would be a merit good. Here, the government would want to intervene in the market to push the consumption levels to the socially optimal level. An intervention that the government could do is a subsidy or more education to encourage the consumption of this good. Therefore, the answer to this question is C. I'll just go through the final option as well, which is D. D states that private firms are unable to produce merit goods in a free market, and this is wrong. And it's wrong because private firms are able to produce merit goods, it's just that the equilibrium for the merit good will be at a quantity that is lower than the socially optimal level. This brings us on to question 8. The diagram below illustrates the market demand and the market supply curves for a good. The production of the good creates a negative externality. To reduce production and consumption of the good to OQ2, the government could impose, and then we have the 4 options there. So this good has a negative externality and the government wants to bring the consumption down from Q1 to Q2. So if you want to reduce the consumption of a good, you either need to tax that good or put a minimum price on that good that is above the current equilibrium price. So let's go through these options and see what effect each of the option will have. Option A is a price ceiling, and this is the same as a maximum price. And the price ceiling for this is going to be OP3. This means that the price cannot go above P3, which currently it isn't. Currently the price is P1. So this is going to have no effect on the equilibrium in this market, which means that the quantity will stay the same. Therefore, A is wrong. The next option is B, and this is to impose a tax of the good of P2, P3. Let's just assume that this tax was imposed on the supplier of the good. This would cause the supply curve to shift upwards by the full amount of the tax, which is the difference between P2 and P3. This would cause there to be a new equilibrium in the market where the price is P3 and the quantity is Q2. As the quantity is Q2, the tax on this good of P2 to P3 has had the desired effect, and therefore B is the correct answer. I'll just go through the final two options just to show why they are wrong. Option C is a minimum price of OP2. This minimum price is below the equilibrium price, and therefore it will have no effect on the price in the market. The price will stay at P1 and the quantity will stay at Q1. Option D is to place a tax on the good of P2 to P1. If we assume that this tax is placed on the suppliers, this will cause the supply curve to shift inwards. This tax would result in a new equilibrium whereby the price is higher than P1 but less than P3, and the quantity consumed is less than Q1 but more than Q2. Therefore, the tax does reduce consumption, but not by the amount that the government wants to reduce consumption by. This brings us on to question 9, which has a table. The table below shows the possible sources of market failure in current UK markets. Which combination of example and policy is consistent with the possible source of market failure identified? So let's start with option A. Option A has the source of market failure of public goods, and the example of market failure is healthcare. Healthcare isn't a public good. A public good is a good that wouldn't be provided in the free market because of the free rider problem. An example is defence or street lighting or something like that. The solution for a public good problem is to have state provision, and this overcomes the free rider problem. So because the example of the market failure does not match up with the source of market failure, option A is wrong. Option B is positive consumption externalities, and the example is education. This is true. Education is a merit good, and there's a positive externality associated with the consumption of education. According to the question, the policy to correct the market failure is to have a minimum price. If this minimum price was below the current equilibrium price, this policy would have no effect on the market. If this minimum price was above the current equilibrium price, it would cause the price in the market to rise, and this would result in less being consumed. Therefore, the minimum price policy would actually have the opposite effects of what you want to happen. It would actually cause a greater amount of underconsumption of this good. Therefore, B is also wrong. Choice C has the source of market failure as merit goods, and the example they use is petrol, and petrol is not an example of a merit good. A good example of a merit good would be education. Therefore, C is also wrong. So, option D must be the correct answer for this question. The source of market failure is negative production externalities, and the example is electricity generation. So an example within electricity generation could be a coal-powered power station. By burning coal, it emits carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which causes the enhanced greenhouse effect, and also the burning of coal causes sulfur dioxide to be emitted into the atmosphere. This then mixes with rain, which causes acid rain. So the example is correct at the moment. According to the question, the policy to correct the market failure would be to have pollution permits. Pollution permits only allow an economic agent to emit so much pollution. If they want to emit more pollution, they either have to pay a fine or they have to purchase more permits from someone else. So if the government correctly gave out pollution permits to those firms who generate electricity, it would cause the negative externality to either be reduced or internalised, which is reducing the negative externality. Therefore, D is right, because it has the correct source of market failure, the correct example, and the correct remedy for the market failure. The final question in this video is question 10. All other things being equal, when the equilibrium price of car tyres in a market rises from £60 to £90, the quantity demanded falls from 2 million units to 1.5 million units. Therefore, the value of price elasticity of demand is, and then we have our four options. So first, we need to look at the formula for price elasticity of demand. And this is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. So to work out the percentage change in quantity demanded, we do the new quantity demanded minus the old quantity demanded divided by the old quantity demanded. So we have 1.5 million minus 2 million divided by 2 million. And this gives us a value of minus 0.25 or minus 25%. And we work out the percentage change in price in a similar way. We do the new price minus the old price divided by the old price. And that is 90 minus 60 divided by 60. And this gives us a value of positive 0.5 or 50%. Therefore, to work out price elasticity of demand, we do minus 0.25 divided by 0.5, and this gives us a value of minus 0.5. Thus, the answer for this question is C. Another point for price elasticity of demand is that we would usually expect it to be negative. This is because of the inverse relationship between price and quantity. So as the price increases, the quantity demanded falls. And as the price falls, the quantity demanded increases. Therefore, when we work out price elasticity of demand, we are dividing opposite signs, and this will give us a negative. There are videos for the rest of this past paper on YouTube, or you can click the link below, which will take you through to the website.